How are you doing, gardeners? Ed Snyder with Fresh Picked Acres of Kansas. Hey, we're happy to have you along today. I have a different type of a video for you, and I'm hoping that for those of you who have newly acquired a mulch layer or thinking about getting a mulch layer, let me at least offer to you a few tips that really helped us, that made our mulch layer pop. Now, the brand that I and Delia chose to purchase was a Rain-Flo Plastic Mulch layer. Now, I want you to understand we're not paid by them or any other company. We're just doing this video just to give you some tips that I believe that will really help you. Yesterday, we laid our very best bed, and it is perfect. There's nothing I can say bad about this bed, and I think for the most part, I don't see any improvement that I could do to it. So let me share something about the 2570 Rain-Flo mulch layer, and most of this is going to carry over to other mulch layers. So let me just say why I chose the 2570 Rain-Flo. One of the things I understood by other producers who gave me advice to get a plastic mulch layer was one of the problems they had was the closing wheels on the back of the mulch layer. You'd lay your plastic down, but they were not fastened in any way, shape, or form. The tractor pulls the mulch layer, and the idea is these wheels, these closing discs, trail behind closing the ground. Now, as my friend had advised me, he said, Ed, one of the problems is if we get on any kind of a grade or anything like that, or the ground is difficult, sometimes a guy has to walk behind there and push the closing wheels in, or you add your own chain or cable or something along that way. So in other words, you have to do additional work to the machine to keep the wheels in proper position so it lays the soil back onto the plastic to hold it down. So the 2570 has what they call manual adjustment closers on the back, and you can manually adjust these to fine tune it as you go down the field. And for the most part, I will say that we've used it 3 times. The second time we had it dialed in, and to be honest with you, we haven't touched it the third time. So I don't think it's something there I need to adjust often, as long as it's not messed with and that type of a thing. The next level up of that particular model would be where you have hydraulic operated, where you can adjust it as you're on the go. That would be nice, but I don't think it's necessary. I really don't. Unless you're on Pennsylvania hillsides or mountainsides or something like that, I don't see where that's quite as necessary. So we got that out of the way. There's other videos out there that actually talk about getting the tractor straight and lined up properly. That is important. You want to limit the amount of shimmy that your 3-point hitch gives on the back of the tractor. So follow the recommendations to make that as solid as you can in the back so that your track is straight and true. We have road track on ours. That's a whole nother topic. Let's not talk about that. That's not what I'm here to talk about. What made our beds just about perfect, or pop really, comes down to 2 simple things that we did. 3. Number 1, you do need to have a well-tilled up area. Now, I have an M&W Dynadrive. You could use a disc and a field cultivator. You can use a rototiller. Any of the above will work just fine. The main thing is you have at least 6 inches of loose soil for your machine to actually pull up and make a bed easily. Let's start there. That's where it needs to be. The next thing is, I suggest before you lay any plastic, and I wish I would have done it, but I didn't. You don't know what you don't know. Is I think if you you're going to see in the video where I put a level to it. We need to have your machine level once you start to pull and create a bed. So let's do that. And you do that by raising or lowering the third link on your 3-point hitch, your top link on your 3-point hitch. So get that adjusted so it's level. And last and finally, I can say is add several hundred pounds of weight down on the floor of or the roof of your bed. I think that there was a big deal to us, which made the bed solid. Now, one feature that Delia and I have on our Rain-Flo mulch layer is we have what they call a center plow filler. So you have 2 plow shears on the outside that's, 5 foot wide, narrowing it up to your 30-inch bed or whatever it is. But what we did purchase on ours, based upon the recommendation of our friend, our Mennonite friend, was to also get a center row filler. And we do not have sandy soil, so we have more of a clay sand. So having them extra plow shears in the middle, and when you watch the video, you'll see we have them wider than what they originally sent it to us, but by having it wider, we have less plugging, because when I first started, it was plugging up. I think the opening was only about that wide, and it just had too much stuff plug up into it. So we opened ours up a little bit. You'll have to play with that yourself. But once we had that opened up, we start out with loose soil. We have our center row filler in position at a good spot to where it's going to funnel the soil in through into the chamber. Once we have the mulcher set level, that's important. Now we're going to get an adequate amount of soil coming in to the mulch layer. Then we have our weight on the floor of the top of the bed, which will firm the bed by having, and I think altogether I have about 250 pounds of stone on that particular bed, and you could certainly put more on there. And after that, I think everything went, and then but have your closing wheels that'll close up everything properly. Now, I tell you, everything worked as it should. I think the video will show you exactly what I'm looking at. Delia does also video the soil coming into the mulch plastic mulch layer, so you'll get to see how that kind of looks. It took me 2 or 3 tries yesterday to kind of get it dialed in, but on my 3rd time, if I'd have had this information already, I could have done it on my very first trip. I don't think once it's set up, if you're doing strawberry beds, I don't think you need to go up and down your row 2 or 3 times to get it solid. Yesterday, we were able to make a good solid bed with 1 pass. And so my first event doing strawberry beds, I really kind of wasted time and just created more work for myself in the end. I hopefully this video will help share that frustration or that relief that you don't have to go through that. I think if it's set up properly, you can make a solid bed on your first time through once you have these little tiny things, and they are little tiny things, set up. Have an experienced person or an adult walk behind the machine when you first do it to kind of dial in those closing discs. But we didn't touch them all day yesterday. It's on our third time using this machine. We didn't touch it. So everything, it's holding itself very well. You're going to see in the video, everything closes nice. The beds are solid. I think this is something I wish I would have had when I first started using a Rain-Flo mulch layer. If you guys are considering getting one, let me at least say this, is I do not regret the price we paid last year of buying this and having it shipped from Pennsylvania. Those are wonderful folks. It's heavy duty. It's high quality. I know it's going to be a machine that we're going to be able to use the rest of our life. And it's as good as a John Deere International tractor today. So thanks for watching. Hey, if you like these types of videos, let me encourage you to go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. Come grow with us. All right there, folks. Well, I'm doing the 2470 Rain-Flo, and we've done 2 rows already. And from the outside, on the onset, they look very good. I mean, you look at them and you say, that's great. But as we're dialing this thing in for this, you'll see I got some, it's not filling. But we come over here, oh my goodness, it ain't sinking at all. Now, why that's happening, there's a couple of reasons. There, and it says in Rain-Flo, we added some added weight. No, we added some weight, and the very important right here is to get this as level as you can. And I kind of went a little bit too much the other way, but I'm getting some digging. Now this could probably, I could probably go back a little bit on the next time through, kind of, because it is not 100% level, but I really like the way this is packing. And the only way to pack it is you got to have your Rain-Flo level, or your mulch layer level. That's important. So any comments, Delia? Yeah, good so far. All right, and then the only thing she's going to watch, we do have a center row filler right there. And Delia, why don't you hold on to this and just kind of show people how it's filling as we go down.
Alrighty, so we can see how much dirt it's pulling in, and it looks pretty good. It's not, you don't want it to back up, that then it's dragging too much dirt, and the machine will have a difficult time pulling through. But you can see this is not filling up totally, but it's pushing enough dirt in so that it gets that center underneath the plastic totally filled in, which will make it easier for the plants, because otherwise when we plant our pumpkins there later on in the summer, the little seedling will be 3 inches below the plastic, which you don't want, because at that point it's going to be very hot. That's the reason why we're also using the white plastic. You can probably back it off a hair, but it's still flowing through. And the other problem, the other thing you had to adjust was the wheel on this side was too close, and every once in a while it would split the plastic right there on the edge, so that's not doing that anymore. So it's little tweaks here and there that he's had to do to make it work right. We're almost done with this row. Again, the dirt is flowing nicely. It's not getting totally bogged down.